Hi, I'm John Crawford and I'm blind. I'm going to tell a story today, a couple of them actually. One is a cute story and the other is a sad slash funny story. Feel free to laugh if you like because it is kind of humorous, but it does have kind of a sad point to it. Okay, so I was born legally blind. My vision, when they accounted for it when I was in my teens, was about 2,800, which is 4 times worse than the actual legal definition of blindness. And that was with corrections. So always been legally blind all my life, but vision is a weird thing. My mom and dad taught me a lot of things growing up about cooking and doing my own laundry and just generally being as independent as I possibly could because they just felt like the world's not gonna, be there to hold your hand all the time. So they wanted me to be able to be self-sufficient, and I really applaud them for that. Oh yeah, they provided for me and they loved me and everything. And this wasn't boot camp. It was just kind of one of those things of you need to learn how to do this. So anyway, one of the things that my mom taught me how to do was cook outside on the grill. I mean, she taught me how to cook inside too. So I had cooking skills even before I went to the school for the blind. And so I knew how to cook outside on the grill. And so one of the things that I wanted to do, I invited the girl, who I ended up marrying, by the way, to my home. And for our first date, I brought her to my house and I sat her down in a lawn chair with a cold drink and I grilled steaks right in front of her. At that time, my vision was a little bit better so I could manage it. And then fast forward about, 20 years. And I was about 37 years old, and this is when I started to notice that with age, the very little vision that I had was beginning to decline, and I was beginning to really see the changes. So this is kind of a funny story with kind of a sad point to it. I go out and I buy some hamburgers and some hot dogs and a couple of pork chops for myself. And I get everything ready and I go outside and I light my fire. It's a good looking fire. And I'm getting ready to put my meat on the grill. And in years past, I didn't have any trouble with like the smoke and stuff like that coming up from the grill and giving me issues seeing my meat that I was cooking. But this time, there was such a change in my vision that the smoke was giving me a lot of trouble seeing where the meat was. And so what you want to picture here is an individual standing in the middle of his driveway with a grill that looks like a big ceremonial funeral pyre going up, and me doing some kind of a ceremonial tropical dance around this grill with a spatula, alternately yelling swear words and trying to find my meat because my meat is slowly disintegrating under the flames of my grill, and eventually not being able to find it and not being able to turn it over. I did end up burning about $24 or $25 worth of hamburgers and hot dogs and pork chops. And so what I ended up doing was I went in the house and I had singed eyebrows. I had all of my hair at the time. This is not a result of the grilling incident. This was a conscious decision. But no, seriously, I had singed eyebrows. I had soot and smoke all over my face. I smelled like I'd been in a campfire. And I went into our house, and I said, honey, I'm going to have to go to Wendy's. I still had the spatula in my hand. She said, why? I said, well, I burned all the food. And she said, what happened? I said, and then that's when I looked at her and I said, I'm pretty sure my vision has changed to such an extent that I couldn't, for the smoke and everything, I used to be able to handle that, but now it's like the smoke and I couldn't see where to turn the meat. And while I was trying to get in there to see it, it just started burning up in the fire and I just burned everything to a crisp. So out there in the driveway right now is a grill that is still smoldering with chunks of burned meat in it. So she said, I think maybe you ought not to grill anymore. And I said, well, that's kind of the conclusion that I came to as well. So, yeah, it's kind of a funny story if you could actually see the visual of me out in the driveway, but it also let me know sometime around age 37 that age was beginning to deteriorate what little vision that I had. And that's when I began to notice the change. Anyway, guys, that's my story for Memorial Day. I hope you guys enjoy that, get a little bit of a laugh out of it, because I know a lot of you guys can relate to little things like this. And everybody have a safe and wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Please be safe, drink responsibly, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.